At this time, Mei Qing gave him another piece of zaihakuyu, and said with a smile, "At first you tasted this fish, which is also a specialty of Aunt, but I haven't done it for some time. I don't know if it suits you. Taste." Seeing the enthusiastic Mei Qing put the fish into her bowl, Claire nodded in order not to hurt people's face, and said, "Thank you, Aunt, but you don't always have to add food to me. You eat first." Mei Qing nodded and said with a smile, "You must eat more food yourself. If you can't reach it, let Charlie pick it up for you." Claire agreed, and then tasted the fish that Mei Qing gave her. After taking this bite, it immediately surprised her. Mei Qing's cooking is really delicious. The fish is soft, fragrant and delicious. It is impeccable. Jacob was also dumbfounded. He has never eaten such delicious home-cooked food in his entire life. You have to know that eating a delicious meal at home is completely different from eating a delicious meal in a restaurant. There is a warm feeling of home as a blessing, and that feeling will make men linger. This is why women always say that if you want to keep a man's heart, you must first keep the man's stomach. Jacob felt that his stomach and his taste buds were conquered by Mei Qing's cooking skills at this moment. He looked at Paul enviously and said, "Paul, your mother cooks so deliciously, you are blessed." Paul smiled and said seriously, "Uncle Wilson, this question depends on how you look at it. Take me as an example. When I was in college, it was very painful, because I left home and my mother. No matter what I ate at school, I almost felt a little bit meaningless. Later, because of the busy business of the law firm, I often traveled on business. Most of the time I flew back and forth across the United States, and there was still a lot of time flying back and forth around the world, and I had no chance to taste the food my mother cooked. But my appetite has been spoiled by her cooking skills, so I can't get used to eating wherever I go. This feeling is actually very painful." Jacob sighed. "That's true. It is easy for people to change from frugality to luxury, and it is difficult to change from extravagance to frugality. Your mother cooks so deliciously. If it was me, I would not be interested in any food outside." When Claire heard the cryptic meaning in his father's words, he was not very happy, so he took a drink and said to Mei Qing, "Aunt, I toast you. It must be very hard to come back from the United States so far. This glass is to wash the dust for you." Mei Qing hurriedly picked up a drink and said with a smile, "Thank you, Claire, then we will drink a drink instead of wine." Claire touched her cup slightly with that of Mei Qing, and at the same time she couldn't help but sighed and said, "Hey, it would be nice if my mother was also at home. She has been talking about you for so many years, knowing that you are back. She must be very happy." When Claire mentioned Elaine, Jacob and Mei Qing both had unnatural expressions. Both of them knew very well in their hearts that Claire mentioned Elaine at this time, deliberately speaking to them both, reminding them that this family, and her mother, even if her mother is not here, she is the hostess of this house. Mei Qing's dignified expression was a bit embarrassing. She smiled unnaturally and said, "I haven't seen your mother for so many years, and I really want to see her." After speaking, she looked at Jacob and asked, "By the way, where did Elaine go? Why is she not at home?" Jacob hurriedly said, She has been back to her family in the past 2 days. I guess she will be back in a few days." Since Mei Qing's cooking skills are so good, everyone has a little support for this meal. Although Claire was somewhat dissatisfied with Mei Qing in her heart, and was a bit repulsive, she did not have any ability to resist her cooking. She usually pays attention to diet, but this evening she ate 3 times the usual amount of food. Not to mention Charlie and Jacob, the father-in-law. The 2 elders were like windswept clouds, eating almost all the dishes, and there was not much vegetable soup left. After eating, Jacob secretly put his hand under the table, loosened his belt, and temporarily relieved his bulging stomach. At the same time, he could not help but secretly thought, Mei Qing is really perfect in every aspect. If he can really divorce Elaine and stay with her, it will be from the 18th hell, all at once to top heaven. Even Charlie couldn't help but imagine that if Jacob could be with Mei Qing, then his days would be much more comfortable. A mother-in-law like Mei Qing can't really find with a lantern, and she cooks so deliciously. If she becomes his own step-mother-in-law, then she will save him from cooking in the future. It's a pity that he can't let Elaine disappear from the world. After eating dinner later, he has to talk to Isaac to see how to release Elaine from the detention center. After eating, Mei Qing took the initiative to clean up the dining room and kitchen. Charlie hurried to take over, but she refused to let Charlie interfere, saying that women should do everything in the kitchen. After everything was cleaned up, Mei Qing said to the family, "It's late, and Paul and I won't bother you today. Thank you for your hospitality today. I have had a very happy meal." Jacob hurriedly said, "Oh, Mei Qing, I have to thank you. It was you who gave us such a hearty meal of Suzhou home-cooked dishes and fulfilled my wish for more than 20 years. Mei Qing smiled and nodded. For her, it was also a wish for many years, but in front of Claire, she was not suitable to say many things, so she said, "Okay, I won't bother you. You stay here, we will go first."